Jai. So welcome everyone to our first class on this is mainly Gaura Lila, focusing on Lord Chaitanya's pastimes in Navadvip Dham and Jagannath Puri. And these classes will be there'll be a lot of variety in the nature of the classes, and that some of them will be more philosophical, some of them will be pastime oriented, a lot of pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and stories, and some of them will be instructive about the mood of entering the Holy Dham, for us to kind of fix our minds and get into a nice meditation and mental preparation for entering the Holy Dhams. And also there'll be some just very informative things about locations. We'll be looking at some maps, the 9 islands of Navadvip, and the route of the Ganga, the descent of the Ganga. So so there's a mix, a pleasing mix of philosophy, pastimes, mood, and just information that's valuable for us as devotees who are preparing to enter into these sacred dhams and the pastime places of Lord Chaitanya. So today's class is called Approaching Radha and Krishna through Gaura Nitai. And in this class, we're going to look at basically who is Lord Chaitanya, why did Lord Chaitanya come to this world, how is the mood of Lord Chaitanya different from Lord Krishna, and why is it so important for us to go through Gaura Nitai in our attempt to approach Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. So I'll start by sharing a little verse here that some of you may be familiar with. It's from a text called Caitanya Mata Manjusha, which is by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And Srila Prabhupada quotes this in some of his Chaitanya Charitamrita purports. It's a really beautiful verse. So it goes, Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanaya Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kaschirupasana Vrajavadu Vargena Yakalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pumarto Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Matamidam Tatra Dharana Para. So this verse is saying Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanaya. So Aradhyo Bhagavan means the supreme worshipable Lord. And it's stating actually that the supreme worshipable Lord is Vrajesha Tanaya, is the son of Vrajesha, or the king of Raj, who is Nanda Maharaj. So basically it's saying that Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, is the supreme object of worship. And Tadhama Vrindavanam means that his abode, Vrindavan, is similarly worshipable. So it's establishing the objects of worship. And now the next line talks about the mode of worship, or how, the mood with which we should worship Krishna. So Ramya Kachit Upasana, Upasana means worship. Vrajavadu. Vrajavadu means the gopis of Vrindavan, basically. So it's saying that the highest method of worship, the most pleasing, Ramya means pleasing, like Ram is the reservoir of all pleasure. So the most pleasing form of worship for Krishna is that which was performed by the gopis of Vrindavan. And the next line, Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam, that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless, perfect authority on all matters. And Prema Pumarta Mahan, that the highest goal of life is developing love for Krishna. So now it's interesting because Krishna came, that son of Nanda Maharaj, who is the highest object of worship, he came to this world 5,000 years ago. And he also came with his Dham, Tad Dham of Vrindavanam, his own Vrindavan Dham came with him. So that Dham was manifest on this planet. Krishna himself was manifested on this planet, and also the loving pastimes of the gopis, which are the highest method of worship, were also displayed. So then Krishna came, he performed his pastimes here 5,000 years ago, and then he disappeared, and he took all of his eternal associates, the gopis, with him. And then, so the verses that we're going to read here from Caitanya Charitamrita talk about how Krishna is thinking after he leaves this planet, goes back to the spiritual world, after winding up his Vrindavan Leela. What are his thoughts? Kind of, when you do something, you have a big event, you plan your event, you do, the event happens, and then after you kind of like think, what went well, what didn't go well, what's happening next, what did I achieve what I meant to achieve with this event, what was the result, like that. So Krishna is reflecting on his whole, Vraj Leela in terms of, did I actually achieve what I wanted to achieve there? So we're going to read here. So Caitanya Charitamrita, we can start from text 13. I'll read the Bengali too, because the Bengali is so sweet. Yateshta vihari Krishna kare antardana kare mane kare anumana. Lord Krishna enjoys his transcendental pastimes as long as he wishes, and then he disappears. After disappearing, however, he thinks thus. So this is really interesting because we're getting insight into how the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna thinks. So text 14. Chirakale nahi kare prema bhakti dana, bhakti vina jagatera nahi avashtana. For a long time I have not bestowed unalloyed loving service to me upon the inhabitants of the world. Without such loving attachment, the existence of the material world is useless. Text 15. Sakala jagate more kare vidhi bhakti vrajabhava paite nahi shakti. Everywhere in the world, people worship me according to scriptural injunctions, but simply by following such regulative principles, one cannot attain the loving sentiments of the devotees of Vrajabhumi. So in his reflection, he's thinking, okay, I showed the world the sweetness of my intimate Vrindavan Leela, which is the same as in Goloka. I showed them the love of the Vrajavasis who served me in the most intimate rasas, in friendship, in parenthood, in conjugal love. But I didn't show them how to access those pastimes. I didn't show them how they can actually enter into those intimate relationships with me, how they can become my friend, how they can become my parent, how they can become my lover and attain the supreme goal of Goloka Vrindavan. So Krishna's thinking, yes, there are temples of Radha and Krishna, but the worship in those temples is done according to Pancharatrika Vidhi, as established by Narada Muni. So yeah, Narada Muni actually Krishna empowered Narada Muni. Narada Muni is a Shakti Avesh avatar, and he's specifically empowered with Bhakti Shakti, devotion, so that he can impart devotion upon the conditioned souls for Krishna. But the way that Narada Muni teaches devotees to serve Krishna is by rules and regulations, because Narada Muni himself follows that path. He follows the path of Vaidhi Bhakti, and he worships Lord Vishnu. He's actually a devotee of Lord Vishnu for the most part. That's how he's depicted. So although Krishna, he's saying, well, I empowered Nara to teach deity worship standards like this. I had to do it because people in Kali Yuga are naturally, like the Bhagavatam says, lazy, unlucky, misguided, and disturbed. And without rules and regulations, they're bound to become slack and negligent and just commit so many offenses. And then in worshiping Radha and Krishna, those offenses are taken very seriously. There are heavy reactions for any kinds of mistakes or negligence in worshiping Radha and Krishna. So those rules and standards and the mood also, the mood of reverence and the mood of awe are necessary. But then Krishna is seeing that the problem is that although it's necessary, but that kind of worship, the worship in that mood, it's not the way the Brajavasis worshipped me, because the Brajavasis, they have no conception of awe and reverence. So by that kind of worship, one cannot attain the loving sentiments of devotees in Vrajabhumi. So Krishna is thinking, yeah, in Vrindavan, my friends wrestle with me. Madhya Yashoda chases me with a stick. She ties me up. Now it's Kartik, we're meditating on Damodar Leela. And the gopis, they dance with me. But if people just worship me with opulence and majesty, then how are they ever going to come to this? How are they ever going to develop this mood of intimate, loving service? So now let's continue. We're reading, sorry for those who came late, maybe you missed the reference. We're reading CC, Adi Lila, chapter 3, now text 16. Aishvarya Gyanete Sabha Jagat Mishrita, Aishvarya Shitila Preme Nahi Mora Prita. Knowing my opulences, the whole world looks upon me with awe and veneration, but devotion made feeble by such reverence does not attract me. So Krishna is saying here, to be honest, I don't even like this mood of reverence. It's not my mood. It's not my thing. And when people worship me like that, I don't go there myself. Instead, I manifest as Lord Narayan, and I go there with my consort Lakshmi, because it's in that form that I'm pleased by opulence. And one thing that Krishna says is that he reciprocates with the mood of service. Whatever mood we approach him with, then that mood he reciprocates. So if we approach the Lord with opulence and awe and reverence, then he's going to manifest in that form that matches their mood, which is Lakshmi Narayan. And then by worshiping Lakshmi Narayan, one doesn't go to Goloka Vrindavan. You see, so this is Krishna's concern. And he says this in text 17. Aishvarya Gyane Vidhi Bhajana Kariya Vaikuntakeyaya Chatur Vidha Muktipana. By performing such regulated devotional service in awe and veneration, one may go to Vaikunta and attain the 4 kinds of liberation. And then in the next verse, he talks about the kinds of liberation. Sarsti Sarupya Ara Samipya Salokya Sayujya Nalaya Bhakta Yate Brahma Aikya. These liberations are Sarsti, having equal opulences to the Lord, Sarupya, having the same form as the Lord's, Samipya, living as a personal associate of the Lord, and Salokya, living on the Vaikuntha planet. Devotees never accept Sayujya, however, since that is oneness with Brahma. So these, in any case, nobody wants Sayujya, but by worshiping the Lord with this mood of awe and reverence, then they'll go to Vaikuntha, they'll get liberation, and they'll get one of these 4 kinds of liberation. So then Krishna is thinking, but this is not really the highest goal of life, and this is not the most pleasing form of worship. So he's seeing that he was a little like something was missing, and there was a problem, and he needs to solve this problem so that people can actually people of Kali Yuga can gain access to the 3 higher rasas, and so that the door to Goloka Vrindavan can be opened up for them. So now in text 19, he decides what he's going to do to solve the problem. Yuga Dharma Pravartaimu Nama Sankirtana Chari Bhava Bhakti Diya Nachamu Bhuvana. I shall personally inaugurate the religion of the age, Nama Sankirtan, the congregational chanting of the holy name. I shall make the world dance in ecstasy, realizing the 4 mellows of loving devotional service. So he's deciding that the time is coming soon for the scheduled appearance of the Kali Yuga avatar. And usually I just send a Shakti Vesh avatar, some Shakti Vesh avatar, to inaugurate the Yuga Dharma of Harinam Sankirtan. But this time I'm going to go myself and do the job. I'm going to inaugurate the Yuga Dharma, but it's going to be different. I'm going to give them the holy name like it's never been given before. Because he doesn't want to just give another rule and regulation. He actually wants to, like it says here, he says, Chari Bhava Bhakti. He wants to actually give them Bhava Bhakti. He wants to give them devotion on a higher level than can be attained through simply rules and regulations. So not just Nam Sankirtan as the regular Kali Yuga avatars teach, but he wants to give them Prema Nam Sankirtan. So he's thinking, I'm going to invest the holy name this time with the love of the Vrajavasis, the same love that those residents of Goloka have for me. And that's why Narottam Das Thakur says, Golokera Prema Dana Harinam Sankirtan. This doesn't apply to every Kali Yuga and every Kali Yuga avatar, but it only applies to Lord Caitanya. That Lord Caitanya is a special, form of Krishna who comes in one Kali Yuga out of 1,000. All the other 999 Kali Yugas, in the day of Brahma, it's just a Yuga avatar. But one of those is Lord Caitanya. Krishna comes himself, and he gives a special holy name. He gives a holy name that's invested with Golokera Prema, with the love of the Brajavasis. And he's saying that by chanting this Prema Nam Sankirtan, that's invested by me with Prema, with the love of Goloka, then these residents of Kali Yuga will be able to realize the higher rasas. They'll be able to serve me. Hold on, my computer's gonna come out. They'll be able to come to this, higher realizations of me and be able to serve me as friends and parents and lovers, not in a mood of reverential duty, but in a mood of spontaneous love. So let's continue here. And now he's going to tell us how he's going to teach them this bhava bhakti. Apani karimu bhakti bhave angikare, apani achari bhakti shikaimu sabhare. I shall accept the role of a devotee, and I shall teach devotional service by practicing it myself. So he says, I'm going to go and I'm going to personally, I'm not just going to teach them, but I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to personally show them how to chant the holy names in pure love, in ecstasy, how to be a devotee. I'm going to show them what the love of the Brajavasis for me looks like. Okay, so now it's interesting because now Krishna, he's going to quote himself. He's going to quote his own statements from Bhagavad Gita to basically confirm his line of thinking, his current line of thinking. First we'll do 21, sorry. Apanena kaila dharma shikana nayaya eta siddhanta gita bhagavate gaya. Unless one practices devotional service himself, he cannot teach it to others. This conclusion is confirmed throughout the Gita and the Bhagavatam. So now he's going to quote. I just think it's super cute that Krishna quotes himself. So he's saying, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhutanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyam. Whenever and wherever there's a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkitam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious, to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. So you can see he's meditating on, I'm going to appear, I'm going to come. It's Kali Yuga, it's a new millennium. I come millennium after millennium, I'm going to come. He's kind of like revving himself up for this. Utsideyur ime loka nakuryam karma ched aham sankarasya chakartasyam upahanyam ima praja. If I did not show the proper principles of religion, all these worlds would fall into ruin. I would be the cause of unwanted population and would spoil all these living beings. And then text 25, Yad yad acharati shrestas tad tad eve taro janaha sayat pramanan kurute lokas tad anuvartate. Whatever action a great man performs, common people follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So this is also, he's thinking, I want to teach them bhakti, but the best way to teach is by example, because yad yad acharati shreshtas, whatever a great personality does, common people follow. So if I go there and I chant the holy names and I follow the process of bhakti and I exhibit, ecstatic love for God, then people are going to want that. They're going to see that. They're going to follow the process. They're going to do as I'm doing, and they're going to get the benefit. So he decides that, he decides that he has to go himself, because no one else can give what he's giving. A Yuga avatar can give the holy name, but they can't give Vraja Prem, the love of the Vrajvasis. It can only be given by someone who has it. So it has to be either given by Krishna or by the Vrajvasis themselves. And that's what he says here in text 26. Yuga Dharma Pravartana Haya Amshahaite Amavina Anyenare Vraja Prema Dite. My plenary portions can establish the principles of religion for each age. No one but me, however, can bestow the kind of loving service performed by the residents of Vraja. And then he continues, Santvavatara Bahava Pankaja Nabasya Sarvato Bhadra Krishnad Anyakova Lata Svapi Premado Bhavati. There may be many all auspicious incarnations of the personality of Godhead, but who other than Lord Sri Krishna can bestow love of God upon the surrendered souls? It's really funny because this is Krishna talking, and he's actually quoting a verse that's written by a devotee, Bilvamangala Thakur, from Lagu Bhagavatamrita. So he's quoting this verse that his devotee said, that who can give love of God except Lord Krishna. So he's saying, well, my devotee has said that no one can give love of God except me. So if I want to give them love of God, well, it looks like I have to go. So then he decides, Tahate apana bhakta gana kari sange priti vitti avatari karimu nanarange. Therefore, in the company of my devotees, I shall appear on earth and perform various colorful pastimes. So this is his plan. And this was predicted, that he's going to come in Kali Yuga. Krishna will come along with his devotees. Krishna Varna Tvisha Krishnam, Sango Pangastra Parshadam, Yagyai Sankirtana Prayer, Yajanti Hi Sumeda Saha. So Krishna comes as Lord Caitanya. And but the interesting thing is that Lord Caitanya is not only Krishna, but he's Radha and Krishna combined. Because in addition to giving the fallen souls of Kali Yuga access to Goloka Vrindavan by chanting this Prema Nam Sankirtan, Krishna also had his own personal reasons for wanting to come. And that is explained in Adi Lila chapter 4, which is the internal reasons for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is also related to his previous appearance on earth. So when Krishna came before to Vrindavan, then he had manifested his Vrindavan Leela. And of course, all the pastimes are there with Srimati Radharani and the gopis. And Krishna literally had his mind blown by the love of Srimati Radharani. He just couldn't understand the power of her love. He couldn't understand the happiness that she feels by loving him. And he couldn't understand the qualities in himself that evoke such intense love. So desiring to experience these three things, then Krishna combines with Radharani, taking on her emotions so that he can experience her emotions. And he also takes on her complexion. And that's why Lord Chaitanya appears in a golden form and not in his usual blackish form. So it's described, in Adi Lila chapter 4, that Radha and Krishna are already one, just like fire and heat are non-different, or musk and its scent are inseparable. But for pastimes, they separate into two eternally individual personalities. And then in this unique form of Lord Chaitanya, they come together again as one. So now, in the form of Lord Chaitanya, Krishna is going to teach Prema Bhakti to the world by experiencing it himself. So Lord Chaitanya, he also comes with Lord Nityananda, who is the most merciful, who delivered Jagai and Madai. And we spoke about how one of the difficulties with directly worshiping Radha and Krishna is that we can make offenses. And those offenses have very heavy reactions. But Gaura Nitai are so merciful that they overlook all the offenses. They don't even consider offenses at all. They just see the good qualities, and they found the spark of those good qualities. So that's one problem solved. Now, the other problem solved was that in worshiping Radha and Krishna, there are so many rules and regulations that get in the way of actually worshiping in the mood which invokes the presence and the reciprocation of Radha and Krishna. So when we worship, when we have the reverential mood in worshiping Radha Krishna, we're not actually worshiping Radha Krishna, we're worshiping Lakshmi Narayan. So we don't get the benefit, we don't get the results of worshiping Radha and Krishna when we worship Radha and Krishna directly by rules and regulations. So it's kind of like a, it's a catch-22 problem. But in worshiping Gaura Nitai by Harinam Sankirtan, then Lord Chaitanya says, there are no hard and fast rules for chanting the holy names. So there are no offenses, there are no rules, you just chant. You chant and dance in ecstatic love. You don't have to have such a mood of awe and reverence for Gaura Nitai. You don't have to be so, absolutely careful and strict and formal in worshiping Gaura Nitai. But still, we can't get completely just whimsical and crazy in worshiping Gaura Nitai. And so Rupa Goswami, who is Lord Chaitanya's leading disciple, he gives us the process of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, in which there are also rules and regulations. There are do's and don'ts. And we can read about all those in the Nectar of Devotion. So then, do we again fall in the trap of practicing Vaidhi Bhakti and rules and regulations worshiping Gaura Nitai and going to Vaikuntha? No, because Lord Chaitanya is in the mood of Radha. And so in worshiping Lord Chaitanya, then Madhurya Rasa is kind of like built in. And not only that, but all of Lord Chaitanya's chief associates are all gopis and manjaris from Goloka Vrindavan. The 6 Goswamis are all manjaris, and they're all immersed in Vraja Prem, in Madhurya Ras. So even though externally they're renunciants, they're scholars, they're doing their sadhana, they're worshiping their deities, they're building temples and writing books and all those things, but internally they're immersed in the loving mood of the gopis for Krishna. And we know that from the song, Sat Goswami Astikam talks about how they're always immersed in the gopis' love for Krishna. Gopi, Bhava, Rasami, Tabdi, Lahari. So by serving the 6 Goswamis and by worshiping Gaura Nitai in the mood of Vaidhi Bhakti, which is given to us by the Goswamis, following their instructions, then we're automatically following in the footsteps of the inhabitants of Vraja, because that's who the Goswamis are. They're like, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna in disguise, and the Goswamis and the associates, other associates of Lord Chaitanya, are all these Ragatmika Bhaktas in disguise. So although we worship them in Vaidhi Bhakti by chanting the holy names, but we're simultaneously watering the seed of Raganuga Bhakti. And so we get the results of both. That's the thing, that by worshiping Gaura Nitai in the mood of Dasiras, following the rules and regulations of this set forth by the 6 Goswamis, then we get all the benefits of worshiping Radha and Krishna in the mood of Raganuga, or in the mood of love of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. So this is a very special benediction that's given by Lord Chaitanya. And we can't really achieve this by worshiping Radha and Krishna directly. We can only achieve it by approaching them through Gaura Nitai. And yeah, and you it follows that we can't approach Radha and Krishna except through the grace of Lord Caitanya, but then we can't approach Lord Caitanya except through the mercy of Lord Nityananda, and we can't approach Lord Nityananda except by the mercy of the Goswamis, and we wouldn't know anything about the Goswamis except by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, who most of us wouldn't have any approach to if it wasn't for the grace of his disciples, our gurus, our teachers, the devotees that are here with us, teaching us and giving us shelter and guidance in our spiritual lives. So this is really the best and safest position to be in bhakti in this world, especially in Kali Yuga, is the mode of dasya, dasa das anudas, serving the devotees, through them serving Srila Prabhupada, through them serving Lord Nityananda, and then by his mercy, our worship goes to Lord Caitanya, and through Lord Caitanya, by worshiping Lord Caitanya in Dasya Ras, because there's no other rasa to worship Lord Caitanya with. You're not going to worship Lord Caitanya in friendship or parenthood or madhurya. We worship Lord Caitanya in Dasya Ras, but by chanting the holy names. But as that matures, then Lord Caitanya will reveal to us his identity as Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan, which means that he will take us to Vrindavan. So, yeah, when we worship Lord Caitanya, who is Radha and Krishna, when that becomes mature, then we become qualified to worship Radha and Krishna in Goloka. So that's kind of the secret to approaching Radha and Krishna through Gaura Nitai. And so that's nice that, some of you who are listening out there are going to be going to Mayapur soon. And so for those of you who are going first to Mayapur, that's actually the recommended way to do it, is to go first to Mayapur, and then, later go after that, go to Mayapur, get the mercy of Lord Caitanya, get the mercy of Gaura Nitai, and then go to Vrindavan. But some of you are going to be going to Vrindavan first and then meeting up later in Mayapur, but that's also okay. Just make sure that when you do go to Vrindavan, you really, really have to take shelter of Gaura Nitai in Vrindavan and pray to Gaura Nitai and just remember them the whole time you're there. And, when you pray to them, do so with gratitude, because without them, what to speak of us? No one would know about Vrindavan. Before the time of Lord Caitanya, Vrindavan was basically a ghost town. Most of the holy places were lost. The deities were underground. Radha Kund was just a mud puddle in the middle of a farmer's field. So, we can only approach Radha Krishna, we can only approach Vrindavan, and we can only approach the Hare Krishna mantra even through the mercy of Gaura Nitai. We're really nothing without Gaura Nitai. So, Gaura Nitai ki jai. All right. I hope that was comprehensible. Does anyone have any questions here? We have 5 minutes. Or comments or reflections? Yes, I see Govinda Prabhu.
Haribo, I was just thinking, luckily here at Krishna House, we worship Gaura Nitai. So even though I don't exactly go straight to Mayapur, I go straight to Vrindavan for I can worship, I'm hoping I can worship Gaura Nitai here and, get their mercy to enter Vrindavan.
Jai.
Is that okay?
That also works. That also works. That's why, Srila Prabhupada was so merciful to establish Gaura Nitai in all of our temples, so that by worshiping Gaura Nitai, then we have some little pathway to Radha and Krishna and Vrindavan. Okay, anything else?
I really appreciate when you say Gaura Nitai, just look for the good qualities. And I can see that when you're doing deity worship and you dress Gaura Nitai, they're so merciful with you that the other deities, they look a little intimidating for dressing, but Gaura Nitai is pretty merciful and very easy and very satisfied. When you finish dressing them, they're so happy with you, with your service.
Yeah, it's really nice to serve Gaura Nitai. Jai, thank you for sharing that. All right, Brihat Madagapu has a question. Why does Lord Chaitanya only come once in a day of Brahma? Yeah, because he follows Lord Krishna. Krishna only comes once in a day of Brahma. And then after Krishna leaves, then he has these thoughts. And so he has to come back. Govind, do you have another question?
Yes, I was wondering because you were mentioning that in other Kali Yugas, they would also chant the holy name. I was wondering whether it was the Maha Mantra, but maybe in a different mood, or was it just a different mantra?
I'm not sure. That's a really good question. That's an interesting question. Does anybody have any knowledge about that? Whether in previous Kali Yugas?
Can you repeat the question?
He's asking if in other Kali Yugas they chanted the same Hare Krishna mantra or they chanted other mantras or other holy names of God. Because I have heard that the Hare Krishna mantra is special. That I remember we were in New Vrindavan and Varshana Swami was speaking on this, and he was saying that the Hare Krishna mantra, we call it a mantra. It's not like other Vedic mantras that usually start with like Om or Aim or Kleem, or they start with some seed syllable, and then they end with something like Namaha. They'll have like a name of there, and then like Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, like that. So yeah, most mantras are like that, and they're also holy names of God. But the Hare Krishna mantra, it's just pure names. It doesn't have any, namahas. It doesn't have any seed names. So yeah, okay, good. Brihat's saying that in the Kali Santarana Upanishad, the Hare Krishna mantra is given. So, and that's Upanishad that's for Kali Yuga. So it seems, yeah. And I also vaguely remember Varshana Swami was saying that it's always the Maha Mantra. I think he did say that. I'm pretty sure. Govinda, you were there. You don't remember? I think Mara said that it's always how the Hare Krishna mantra, but Lord Chaitanya invests the Hare Krishna mantra with special potency when he comes, that it's not just Harinam Sankirtan, but it's that Prem Nam Sankirtan. Yeah. And he says it's a very special mantra because it's just Radha and Krishna. And he also made one really good point that was, we don't chant, like when you go to Vrindavan, you'll hear people chanting, Radhe Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Radhe, Radhe Sham, Sham, Radhe, Radhe. He says we don't chant that because that's not pleasing to Radharani. Radharani doesn't like that because Radharani, she's very shy, she's very modest. And her relationship with Krishna is not something that just is broadcast on the street like that. It's very secretive, it's confidential. It's something that in Vrindavan, like people aren't supposed to know about that, it's Parakiya Bhav. So she doesn't want us to just like talk about her intimate relationship with Krishna just publicly. So we say it in a more indirect way. We chant Hare Krishna because Hare, is not directly saying Radharani's name. It's referring to the energies of Krishna in a general sense, but we know that we're calling out to Hara, which is Radha, but we don't publicize it like that. So that's more pleasing to Radharani. We shouldn't take Radha and Krishna's relationship, their lila, as something very cheap that we just broadcast, like that. But it's discussed amongst devotees who are practicing bhakti and following the principles. Okay, I said I was going to stop at 6:50. It's 6:51. Evan has a question. Okay, Evan, I'll take your questions to be the last question.
Something I heard about the mantra in different
What's Max?
pages.
I will Max.
Peekaboo. I think I heard it from Shamananda Krishna Prabhu, but it was that like in the different ages, like they still chant the Maha Mantra, but it's not imbued with the highest like Goloka Prema. It's only in this age that they like infuse it with the potency that will take us to the highest ecstasies of love and Goloka Vrindavan.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's exactly what I said, I think. But thank you for repeating it, because it's a very good point. Yeah, because it's only in this age that Lord Chaitanya comes, that like actually Krishna comes with the mood of Radharani and gives this mercy. You know, it's only in this age where he like breaks open the storehouse of love of God and just distributes the contents to everyone. So we're very fortunate actually to be born in this Kali Yuga where Lord Chaitanya appeared just such a short time ago, and that we have this holy name, which is not just the holy name. Like even in any age, the holy name has potency, is very powerful. But in this age, it's specifically invested with the love of the Brajavasis, particularly, especially Radharani's love for Krishna is there in the holy names. And that by chanting without offenses, then we can access that love and we can be blessed by Radharani and all of her compassionate potencies and blissful potencies to become qualified to enter into Radha and Krishna's eternal pastimes. Okay, thank you all very much. So we shall see you hopefully again on Wednesday, same time, same place. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari. Bol. Very good.
Viva!